This is North Pod, a North Melbourne fan podcast, hosted by Jason Hunt.
Stevenson with his own move. Carrington. North are in front.
Hello, and welcome back once again to North Pod. A special episode for today. I've actually got the first interviewee or player interviewee on the podcast, Sarah Wright. We talked a lot about her career and how the season's been going, so I'm going to let you jump right into the episode and have a listen. Here is Sarah Wright, AFLW defender and North Melbourne superstar. Okay, well, I welcome to the show my first player guest, North Melbourne AFLW defender Sarah Wright. Thank you so much for coming on, Sarah. I really appreciate it. How are you going this evening?
No, really good, thank you. It's a pleasure to be on with you, so thanks for the invite.
No, thank you. Really appreciate it. I'm sure it's a busy time of year. Obviously, this season's going really well for the club, and we'll get to how the season's going in a little bit. I actually just want to, get to know you a little bit and have my audience get to know you a little bit. So I'd love to start with the beginning of your career. I understand you played basketball growing up, but how'd you come to football? How did that come about?
Yeah, so I grew up, obviously played basketball up until sort of I got into that open age level. Always played like school footy and stuff with the boys, and didn't do any Auskick or anything like that. But just one year, I think it was the first year of AFLW. It was just Christmas time and we were just having a kick. I've got a twin sister as well, and just like knew about AFLW and was sort of interested. And after the first season, one of my old basketball friends actually started to coach our local team. So I just thought, oh, I might go down for a kick, and sort of it all came from there. Went down, loved every minute. Actually brought my twin down as well, who loved it. And yeah, just didn't look back really.
Yeah, okay. And so then you ended up heading and playing some footy at Carlton's VFLW side, is that right?
Yeah, so played two or three. No, I think it was two seasons local, and then got invited down to train with them, which was nice. And then yeah, for one season there, and got drafted to North. Yeah.
Great. And were you playing a similar defensive role at Carlton, or was it a different role there?
No, I was actually a forward at Carlton. We didn't have the strongest season. So towards the end, I did get thrown back for a couple of games. And then yeah, but I was drafted as a forward to North, but yeah, quickly made the change. I think halfway through my first season and got thrown down back, which I haven't looked back.
Yeah, you haven't kicked too many goals in your AFLW career, have you?
No,
But that makes
no,
sense. It's
no.
hard to do down back.
Yeah.
And how do you think, it's probably a hard question to answer, but like how do you think your game has developed from when you came into the AFLW system to now?
Yeah, definitely. Coming from basketball, like I didn't grow up kicking like the footy with both feet, like the girls coming through now. So I suppose, yeah, just that I'm starting to now, I know it's been how many seasons, but my skills are probably the best they've been. I think I translated from basketball a little bit the ability to read the play, which has helped me a lot. But yeah, I think it's more now just my confidence. Yeah, been down back for a while and sort of got know my place and know my spot. So yeah.
Yeah, that makes sense. Do you remember much about your first AFLW game in 2020?
Not really. I think we lost from memory.
Yeah, I've looked it up. I can tell you
Yeah,
if you don't remember much, but
yeah. Okay.
the stats said it was a round one loss to Melbourne and you had two handballs. So you
Yeah.
obviously weren't finding much of the ball that first day.
I think I was actually playing on the wing at that stage and struggled to get on the field because the ball I think the ball was over the other side and at
Mhm.
that point we had a different coach and yeah, played on the wing and just yeah, struggled to get into the game. But yeah, I don't remember touching the ball at all, so I'll take the two handballs.
There you go. And there's plenty of players that haven't touched the footy in their first game have gone on to have
Yeah.
successful careers. So no shame in that.
Yeah.
Is there I guess a game at AFLW level that you kind of remember, whether it was, you sort of found your feet and you found confident, you found
Yeah.
that level of confidence, or is it a breakout game for you that you recall?
Yeah, it was actually funny you say that. I think we played down at North Hobart and I was kind of in between positions at that stage and had been training a little bit down back, but never played that spot. And then one of our assistant coaches actually said, like, we're going to play you down back that game. And I think from there, I could actually use the skill set that I had brought across from basketball. And I think there was a tackle that I laid in the third quarter, and that was like sort of a moment for me where I've gone, yeah, like this is my position, this is where I want to be. So yeah, I remember that clearly, and yeah, I think if I had to pick a moment, it'd be that game. Yeah.
Okay, and you said that some of the skills that you had from basketball translate. Are you talking about kind of the capacity to read the play and read what's going to happen with
Yeah.
positioning, that kind of thing?
Yeah. I think I like to think that I'm a one step forward, a step ahead of my forward, which is nice. And then yeah, read the where the player kicking inside 50, I guess, is going to kick, or if I need a help off a teammate, or yeah, I
Hmm.
think that's translated well from basketball. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, cool. I know there's certainly lots of footy players that have that basketball background, and I think speak to positioning and their ability to have that
Yeah.
peripheral vision and capacity to read the
Yeah.
play. So,
Yeah,
yeah, that
definitely.
makes
Yeah.
sense. What was it like early on in your AFLW career in terms of balancing, your life outside of football and your professional sport life? What was that like at the start?
Yeah, I think for us, it was pretty easy. Like I work early mornings, so it didn't really affect me too much. We trained at night. They're obviously longer days.
Hmm.
But yeah, as it's grown, it's sort of more affecting me now. We train 2 full days at the club, and I obviously work full time, so that's been hard to juggle. But yeah, at the start, it was pretty easy for me to get everything in. It was just by the end of the season, we're kind of wrecked because of everything you're trying to fit in. But yeah, I've managed. I think now I'm much better with time management and just being a lot more organized in what I have to be, in what I have to do and where I have to be at times. And I think that's helped a lot. And the club have also been really good with the girls that have to work. And if you have to shoot off early or get in late, they just work around you. So that's been good.
Yeah, okay. What kind of work do you do outside of football?
I'm actually run my own business with my dad. My dad retired a couple of years ago, so I took over the family business, just in logistics, warehousing. Yeah, so I've taken on that role, which being your own boss is sort of nice as well. I can come and go as I please, which has come in handy with the trainings this year.
Yeah, I can imagine so. I guess there was a lot of talk around it. I recall when the AFLW came in, there was that talk around a lot of the training happening at nights, and
Yeah.
so I'm sure there were some different feelings around. Some people probably really relieved that was moving into
Yeah.
that daytime stuff. So, but for you, it's probably more of an inconvenience if you're trying to work full time, or
Yeah, I think at the start it was just what time of day. We've got a few teachers, a few doctors in our team, so I
Mhm.
guess it was the times of day we'd be training. And yeah, I work early morning, so we had been starting in pre-season around 7 a.m. So that was tough. Because I would try and get into work before I went into the club.
Yep.
But now the boys have done, we're sort of training a little bit later, so it's a little bit better for me.
Yeah, gotcha. And what do you think has changed, I guess, moving away from the work aspect of it, but just in terms of AFLW itself? You've been in the system 5 or so years now. Like, what do you think's what have you noticed changing within the system, or I don't know if it's at a club level, but what are some of those
Yeah.
big changes that you've seen happen around AFLW in that time?
I think for me, it's just like the level of professionalism. I think as a club, especially North, at the start, I think the start, just the amount of staff we had, 2 or 3 physios and some guys in the gym. But now we've got a full team. We've got nutritionists, like as many physios and trainers as we need. There's guys in the gym, and there's people helping them out. And then on the track, we've got 10 or so coaches. So I think that's been the biggest sort of jump for me is just how professional we're becoming. And I know that's only going to get bigger as time moves on and more money's put into the competition. So yeah, that's definitely a big one for me.
Yeah, that's pleasing to hear. I think it's nice to nice to be a step up from local level, I guess, in terms of the
Yeah.
support around you. I guess that would make a big
Yeah.
difference. Let's talk about last year. It was a really, really good season for the club and for you personally. I think you had a great year It looked like it was going to be the year we'd finally overcame some of those quality sides such as Melbourne and Adelaide in that finals series, and then we unfortunately fell short to Brisbane. What was the fallout or the aftermath of that like for you and for the group?
Look, I think, yeah, our finals campaign, even though we lost, I think was still quite successful. It gave us a lot of confidence. It was obviously disappointing, but it gave us a lot of confidence coming into this year that we're now one of those big clubs. I think we always played well against the lower club on the ladder, but we couldn't quite. I think we stayed with like the Adelaides and Melbournes and Brisbanes at times, but we couldn't get quite over the line. So yeah, I think that's definitely those wins, especially have given us confidence this year to know that we're one of those clubs now. And it's just the little things that we need to get right to make sure that we get over the line at the end. Yeah, as I said, disappointing to lose, but definitely a lot of confidence going into this year.
Yeah, that's good. Is it something that gets spoken about in terms of you mentioned that we sort of stuck with the better sides in the past, but weren't quite to get over the hump? Like, is that something that got spoken about? A lot of those tough losses or tight losses with those good sides? Like, does that get spoken about a lot?
Yeah, even on the weekend a little bit. Richmond sort of were on top of us in the first quarter, and they like previously those are the games where we kind of drop out a little bit. And
Mm,
yeah, we bring it up and just we know what works for us and we know what we have to go back to. So yeah, just those little reminders that I guess when we do play our style, it works.
yep.
It's just sticking to that and going back to that. Yeah, and I think it's all those losses in the past have been really helpful now to know where we went wrong last time and sort of get it right this time. So yeah, it's definitely a good reminder for us.
Yeah, okay. And I guess moving into the off season, it's probably a little bit different to I guess, what an AFL off season looks like because a lot of you would just be going back to or continuing with some other work, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
It's a relatively short season, 10 weeks and finals. So what does an off season look like for someone like you? Is it time away from the club altogether? Are you still on your own training program? Like what does that generally speaking look
Yeah.
like?
So I'm one of the ones I like to get away. I think I had about a month off where I that was not at the club at all. Just to have that little mental break from everyone. I still running and doing a little bit of gym here and there. I know others. I think we all gave ourselves about a month off before we went back in and started to do a couple of sessions here and there. And then I suppose from maybe March onwards, it was more, let's get into the club, let's get back together. Obviously after a loss, we were pretty keen to get back in and start training together. And we got Libby across as well. And she was down and doing some sessions. So that connection was really important. But yeah, I myself personally love time away from the club.
Hmm.
Love to get away. I've got family in Brisbane, Sunshine Coast, so I love to get up there. And it wasn't, I probably wasn't at every session. I was still running and doing my gym, but yeah, for me, I like to be away from the club. And then once preseason starts, you're all in. Yeah.
Yeah, and are you someone? I mean, it's probably you're an athlete, so it's an obvious answer. But are you someone that enjoys the training side, or is it something that you just kind of you do that so you can enjoy the games, kind of thing?
Yeah, it's funny. Like I do. I've enjoyed this year's training more than I have previous.
Okay.
I love running. I love the off-season running. I love all that. The gym not so much, but
Hmm.
yeah, I have enjoyed this year. I think better weather. We're training during the day and being outside. I guess that's a better aspect to what it was previously with the night sessions and kind of at the end of the day and you're tired and stuff like that. So yeah, I guess so.
Yeah, kicking a dewy footy around at night time is maybe not as
Yeah.
fun.
No.
You spoke about Libby Birch coming across. I guess she's come across, bolstered our defensive stocks, and another key down there. How's that changed, or has that changed your role in the side this year at all?
Yeah, definitely. Oh, thank God, Livers come in and been able to take those bigger girls down forward. I think it's freed me up to play the role sort of that they want me to play a little bit higher up the ground, but still be able to come back and help Lib and help Ferg sometimes and get in front of those taller girls or those taller targets, which is the style that I like to intercept and play pretty loose off my man. It has meant that I do take some smaller players, and I've been in a couple of D50 stoppages, which is not something that I'm used to, but something that I'm actually really enjoying. It just means that I'm a little bit more dynamic and can play through all three lines. So yeah, I do quite like it, and I'm very happy that Liv's come across.
Yeah, it makes sense. You said you're in some defensive stoppages. I guess just for the lay person that maybe doesn't understand what that might mean. So you're saying like when there is a ball up inside 50,
Yeah.
inside our defensive 50, you're around the stoppage as opposed to dropping further back towards the goal square. Is that kind of what you mean?
Yeah, so previously I would be play a loose man in those situations, but yeah, now that my I'm playing on some smaller girls, they're inside that stoppage when there's a ball up. So
Hmm.
yeah, so even on the weekend found myself in unfamiliar territory, which is scary, but yeah, I love the challenge, and yeah, it's been exciting.
All right, well, we'll look out for some Sarah Wright stoppage
Yeah.
clearances from defensive 50. In terms of your year holistically, do you feel like, you've had a good year? What sort of feedback have you got from the coaches around how individually you've gone this year?
Yeah, I was happy with my first sort of three games. The weather at the moment doesn't really suit the way I wanted to play, but yeah, I've sort of tried. The coaches had some goals for me this year, and they were mainly around getting more involved in offense, which I think I have started pretty well. But yeah, the last couple of weeks have been pretty difficult to do that. So hopefully we get some dry weather. But yeah, overall I am very happy with the way I started. Different goals this year, I suppose, to what I would have previously. But yeah, I am quite happy with how I've started. Yeah.
Yeah, I thought in particular, I thought you had a great game on the weekend against Richmond. I thought that the defensive group was fantastic in that game. I guess you spoke about the shocking weather. We've had obviously Launceston was a swamp. It was torrential at Whitten Oval a few weeks ago. The game at
Mm.
Arden Street against the Cats wasn't great.
Yeah.
Generally speaking, like, do you enjoy wet weather football as a defender? Like, I imagine it's easier to defend, but in terms of when you got the ball, it's probably not much fun.
Yeah, I guess it's fun. Yeah, I don't like playing in the wet. It is
Okay.
easier. I feel like the ball, it's getting kicked it's coming in any way, sort of up in the air and hot. And it's hard to mark, which makes our job easier. But
Hmm.
I do prefer the dry. Yeah, it just means the way we can move the ball the way we want to move the ball, and it's not as scrappy. And yeah, I would prefer it to be dry, but it's looking like another rainy day on Saturday, so I think I'm just gonna have to suck it up.
Yeah, it's it seems to be the way with North at the moment, which,
Yep.
as you say, hasn't been great for our game plan. But it was pleasing against Richmond that we were able to turn it around, or I guess get back momentum in the second part of the
Yeah.
game.
Yep.
In recent weeks, there's been a lot of talk about the condensed fixture this year to try and get that extra game in, and the risks of players getting injured with those shorter breaks. And is that something that, as a playing group, you've spoken much about, or is it more of a we look forward to playing more footy?
I think there's a bit of mixed feelings about it. Personally, I love it. I mean, you sort of got to look at it from like the whole fixture approach, and for me, it's we get an extra game, so that's a step in the right direction. I know some of the older bodies probably are not coping with it as much, and especially because we've had the wet weather, which has made it worse, but.
Mm,
Yeah, we haven't, in saying that, we haven't had much like today was our first full training that we've had in a couple of weeks just because of the fixture and stuff. So I would much prefer that to play rather than train. But yeah, I think yeah, it's kind of each their own on this one. But I'm all for it. And if it would happen in the future, if we're going to get another couple of games, I'd do it again. So yeah,
yeah, I mean, as a fan, I loved having a midweek game to watch, but I get it's not it's certainly not about me sitting on the couch at home. It's more
yeah,
around the players that are putting their bodies on the line. I guess you,
yeah,
you spoke about the older bodies there, and Emma Carney unfortunately did her hamstring on the weekend, and maybe that's to do with the shorter breaks. It's one of those
yeah.
things that you can't know. But obviously a massive loss. It looks like she's going to miss the rest of the home and away season. Who are you looking forward to working with down back in her absence?
Well, it's funny. I said to Eliza Shannon today, that I hope she gets a go. I absolutely love playing with her and last season, I feel like we really the five or the six of us really gelled. So it'll be nice to get her back. She's training really well after her ankle injury. But then open to anything. We've had a few come down back. Tess Craven's been one. Jenna Bruton's been played off half back. So whoever it is, I think they'll slot right in and yeah, we'll get around them.
Do you think it could be Sarah Wright coming off halfback and going for the 1-2s like Emma Carney does in the past and going for a
Oh,
run?
as much as I'd love to, and as much as the coaches would love me to, I don't think that'll be me anytime soon. Maybe a couple, but not as much as Carnes.
No, she's a pretty aggressive 1-2 player. She loves the footy, so
Yes.
it's going to be a shame missing her. But I think, like you say, it'll be great to maybe get Shannon back in and experiment with a couple of different players down back. I suppose it's good to have
Yeah.
flexibility.
Yeah.
In terms of at training, I'm sure there's plenty of match simulation stuff that goes on, particularly in the preseason when you're trying to get match fit. Who's someone that in our side is just a nightmare for you to play on? Like who do you get matched up on and go, uh-oh, like they're going to put me to the sword.
Well, I actually used to play on Talia Randall or Emma King a lot, but now that Libba's come across, I'm sort of on those medium size. So Vicky Wall's been one that
Oh,
you don't want to mess with her.
no.
She's probably one of the strongest girls in the AFLW, and she's pretty quick too. So she's probably the biggest challenge at the moment. But then you've got Ballaretti as well, who's in great form. Who's one of the ones that I try and match up on because it is a challenge. But yeah, so probably one of those two.
And what I guess, you talked about you're playing more on mediums or smalls now because Birch has come across. How does that change, I guess, the way that you're trying to play positionally?
Yeah, so I think with a taller forward, I generally try and be a little bit more out front, and can come across and spoil, and then sort of my job. I shouldn't say this, but my job was done to get that
Hmm.
spoil. But now it's those second efforts that those girls, like Bella especially, even on the weekend, just so clean at ground level. So once there is a spoil or it comes to ground, now I'm sort of focusing on that a little bit more,
Hmm.
and even the tackle and the come forward, that's been something that I probably haven't done being so far back towards like the goal square that I hadn't done much of. Like I've sort of relied on our high defenders to do that, but that's been something that, yeah, I've had to concentrate on in the last couple of weeks as well.
Yeah, okay, that makes sense. And what about genuine opposition? So, is there a particular player that plays for an opposition side that, when you've been matched up on, you've found them to be the most challenging in particular?
Not yet. I used to play a little bit on Taylor Harris. I think, actually, fun fact, she did take Mark of the Year on me. So,
Okay.
just I guess those bigger girls. I'm trying to think now. Yeah, Taylor Harris would probably be one of them. Darcy Bessio can take a hanger. There's a
Hmm.
couple of girls that I'm not too keen. But then I played on Ali McKenzie on the weekend, who's sort of that mid hybrid type, and she was one that I probably thought I would never match up on, but it's actually
Hmm.
cool now get to match up on those girls that she's so skillful. Yeah, so she'd be another one, yeah, I guess.
Yeah. Okay. A bit of a theme there that you just don't like being sat on, don't like to be a stepladder. I think that's probably
Yes,
fair for a
exactly.
defender.
And yes, yeah. And being a little bit shorter, I am quite often saddled, but oh well.
No, you do it. You do an amazing job playing on those tall players, but fortunately for you, Libby's come to you save the day for
Yeah,
you.
save the day, yeah.
We're back at Arden Street this Saturday against the Dogs, who are sitting 12th at the moment. How much time do you spend in the lead up to a game like this, looking at what they're going to do versus what you guys just want to do?
Yeah, I think our system down back, sort of, we don't spend that too much time on matchups. I guess there is a little bit of it with the taller forwards, but yeah, we try and stick to just playing our system and being and more of what we're going to do rather than what they do. Obviously, we have some meetings or we'll go over them on Friday and just and go through how they like to move the ball and what it looks like going inside forward 50, and just some D50 stoppage stuff. So when the ball gets pulled up in our D50, we'll go through that. But yeah, we tend to spend more time on what we have been doing well and trying to stick to that. Yeah.
That makes sense. I think when you're a good side, I think you back your own structures, I suppose, to
Yeah.
to beat the opposition. So I guess that
Yeah.
that makes sense. I've got a couple of quick fire questions to wrap us up. So here we go. Do you know how many AFLW games you've played?
56.
I think it's 53. I thought that you might have an idea since you'd played your 50th
Oh
pretty
yeah, sorry.
recently.
Yeah,
So
I'm In my head, I played round one was my 50th, but yeah, it would be 53. Yeah.
53, there you go. Okay. Do you have any superstitions or routines that you follow on game day at all?
I wear the exact same pair of socks every week. So our socks get washed by our property manager, but I wash my own socks and I wear them every week.
Oh, is that something that bothers the property manager?
Um, a little bit because they're worried that I won't bring them, but no, I wear
Yes.
them every single week. Yeah.
And like, I assume it's the same socks every week then. Like, there's not a clash sock, so to speak.
We did actually against, I think Port. We wore white socks, which actually threw me a little bit. But
Okay.
yeah, otherwise we wear the blue. Yeah.
Okay. Any hobbies outside of playing AFL?
Um, Hobbies. I like to ride dirt bikes.
Okay.
But that's an off-season thing.
hmm
Yeah.
Okay. I probably don't have a lot of time during the season if you're working full time playing footy, and that's fair enough.
Yeah.
If you were a professional at a different sport, what do you think it would be?
Swimmer.
Swimmer. You
Yeah.
did a lot of swimming growing up, did you?
Yeah, a little bit. My older sister's a swim teacher, and I've got broad shoulders, so I've been always been a
hmm
good swimmer. Yeah.
Could have been an Olympian. Oh well, we're going all
Yeah,
right,
I
I
know.
think. Is there a place in the world that you'd recommend, like I guess a favorite place that you have to go?
I'm actually quite a homebody. I love being in Victoria. My partner's actually from Echuca, and I love getting up
hmm
there, so probably Echuca. Yeah.
Echuca. And what about a place that you haven't been to? Is there anywhere that you'd really like to go that you haven't been yet?
I've been to America, but there's a few places in America. I'd love to go to New York,
hmm
that I haven't been to yet. Yeah.
It's a big place, America. There's plenty to see there. You
Yeah.
could
Yeah.
spend a long time there. I guess as a primary school teacher myself, I have to ask the question: what do you think you were like as a student? What would your teachers have said about you?
Um, Sporty, probably
hmm
not the most academic student.
hmm
But yeah, sporty. Yeah.
So what was your? I guess if we're saying PE is your best subject, then maybe what was your worst subject?
Probably any type of English or any book, anything with a book involved. So probably everything. Yeah.
Sure. So most things in the classroom then.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Who do you think's your funniest teammate?
Oh, funniest. Um, hmm. The Irish are pretty good. I would say we're pretty close in the back line. And Flash and I like to pay each other
hmm
out, so it's a goal. Yeah, so I'd say Flash.
Okay, Bresnahan. And which teammate do you think you'd trust if they're kicking for your life? They're 30 meters out in front. Who's kicking the goal for you?
Easily Jazz Garner there. Yeah,
Chaz Garner, yeah, okay.
yeah,
I guess she did start as a forward, didn't she? So that's why she's got a fair bit of goal kicking nous in her.
yeah.
Yeah, fair enough. I think I'd like her kicking for my life too. Well, thank you so much for coming on to have a chat. It was really insightful. Obviously, good luck for the rest of the season. Hoping that the girls can go well and go one better this year. That's what we're all hoping for. Is there anything else that you'd like to leave the North Melbourne fans with at all?
No, just like I guess a big thank you for all the support. I know we haven't had the best weather, but the crowds, even at Whitten Oval that night, the crowds have been there, and we appreciate that very much. So yeah, just keep getting around us, and hopefully we can go one better this year.
Hopefully, fingers crossed. Well, thank you so much, Sarah, and yeah, hopefully I can speak to you another time.
No worries. Thanks for having me on. Appreciate it.
So there you have it. That was Sarah Wright. She was a great woman to speak to. I thought a lot of what she said was super insightful, and she was really honest with us, which I think was really pleasing to hear. It was interesting talking to her about the way that her role has changed with Libby Birch coming into the side, and how she's played multiple roles across her career, across the wing and starting up forward, which was super interesting to listen to. And I'll certainly be watching those defensive 50 stoppages a little differently, just to see what kind of role Sarah's playing, and how that differs from, say, Jasmine Ferguson and Libby Birch, because I guess that's the sort of thing that you can be easy to miss or to not notice when you're just watching the game casually. So yeah, once again, I really want to give a big thank you to Sarah for coming on and making some time. It's great to hear from a player's perspective what's going on at the club, and some of the challenges, and I guess just interesting things that they get up to, and what happens inside the four walls, as footy players say. Thank you so much for listening. I hope that you enjoyed this episode. I am going to try and do a few more of these types of episodes in the future. So Stay tuned for that. And yeah, super, super insightful. Thanks, Sarah, for coming on. And yeah, let's hope for a big win on the weekend against the Dogs. Go North. Thanks for listening to another episode of North Pod. If you give me a rating or review on your podcast service, that would be much appreciated. And please follow me on all social media at North Pod Show. I'm on X or Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, TikTok, and I'm also very active on the North Melbourne subreddit. Hope you'll join me for the next episode.